We are back with you right here on Channel Africa on the Oasis, exactly just after 22, the top of the hour, right here on the Oasis with me, Kitty Pelzana, in for Nzago. And we're chatting to Dr. Maureen Allem, founder of Skin Renewal, whose partnership with I Love Boobies ensures that women, especially in forgotten communities, have access to early detection and life-saving care. Now, Dr. Maureen, I wanted to find out from you, many women avoid screenings out of anxiety or cultural discomfort. How can we bring emotional and mental safety into the medical experience?
Yeah, there are a lot of profound social cultural factors where there's a stigma attached to, especially in the rural communities. More educated women understand the risks and come for their screening, but the underprivileged woman, there's that stigma where if you have breast cancer, it means, and if you have to go for surgery, you actually take your womanhood away. And also, very often women know that this could, if you find a lump, you could lose your life. So rather, not examine and rather not find out whether they have the breast cancer, but they don't realize the ramifications if they just leave it. If they leave the lump, and they've also, they're the mothers of the family, and they rather put the families before themselves, because they, when you do get diagnosed with breast cancer, it's quite a long journey that you have to follow, and then your family suffers. So, it's the cultural factors are huge, and I'm not quite sure. It's just education, I think, Kitty. The more you educate people, to understand that if you leave it, your children won't have a mother. That you go early, and if you find something, go to the clinic and let them refer you. It's all about education and awareness.
And also that fear, man, people just carry so much anxiety, honestly, about the actual seriousness of it, You bring both compassion and clinical precision into your work. How do you balance the science of medicine with the art of human connection?
That's what it's all about. It's not just doing treatments and making people look better. It's making women feel better and looking at health. That's the most important thing. When it comes to breast cancer as well, that lots of the African women also have very dense breasts, and women, even, women in the upper socioeconomic status don't realize that you have to, if you have dense breasts, you actually have to go further and not only do a mammogram if you are privileged enough to have a mammogram, but you need to do, an additional treatment like an ultrasound or an MRI, because a mammogram, if you've got very dense breasts, it's looking for a white cat or a polar bear in a snowstorm, because what the mammogram picks up are these tiny little white calcifications. So there's another thing to make women more aware that if you do have very dense breasts, which African women do have, I think 40% over the age of 40 have very dense breasts, you need to do more than just, the mammogram. There's also, additional screening that needs to be done. And this has to be, go through education to all socio-economic groups,
Wow.
and very often it's all lifestyle factors that cause dense breasts. So, getting back, that's what we do at Skin Renewal. It's not only about injectables and in-clinic treatments.
Yes.
It starts with lifestyle and how we evaluate your lifestyle to see where you're going wrong, because there are pillars of health, sleep being the one pillar. And, I think there was a study done that 30% or 27% of the Black rural women who are overweight have a problem called sleep apnea. They don't even know it. And that causes, blood pressure problems, insulin, sugar problems, and then, leading to what we know as, just unhealthy lifestyles that lead to these dense breasts. So if you can be aware of that, that's another whole thing, health education, getting to the root cause of disease, not only detecting it, but actually preventing it in the first place. So that's what we're all about.
Sure, I'm learning so much. My gosh, I'm learning so much. I didn't even know anything about, the dense breasts with the mammogram that you need to go for extra tests as well.
you're an educated person and you don't even know. I mean,
Wow.
one of my patients, she came, and every year she's been going for a mammogram. She's actually one of my longest patients for 25 years, so it's actually very close to my heart. And she'd go for a mammogram, and all good. And then, like a week before her next annual or biannual mammogram, she felt a lump under her arm. And then she actually realized she had, I think, so 3 and 4. So you look for a letter A, B, you're okay, you got mostly fatty tissue. C and D, you've got breasts. D, you've got very dense breasts. And E actually is that you have to, they cannot see anything, and you've got a very high risk, to develop breast cancer. So that's very important. All socioeconomic things need to know what their status is. How dense are my breasts? You have to actually get the report and ask your radiologist, because that also makes a difference of life and death. Because the patient, by the time they actually did eventually did the mammogram, she was stage 4. Which is crazy, because she was going for mammograms, when she, like every year, I think. Yes, so you should, if from the age of 40, from the age of 40 to 75, you should go every second year up until the age of 74. But then it depends on your risk factors. If you have a family history of breast cancer, then you've got a higher risk. And sometimes you can even get breast cancer at 30. I've got 2 patients very close to my heart as well who were diagnosed. The one was diagnosed at 30, but she had the type 5, the really very dense breasts. And she developed breast cancer at the age of 30, and another one at the age of 31. So don't think that because you're young that you are, that it won't affect you. You have to do your breast clinical examination. You have to, and then if you have a problem, go and get help. Go for referral, so that you don't have a late onset diagnosis, which changes your prognostic, 5-year survival dramatically.
Wow, this is scary, but so important, it's that anxiety you talk about, but it's so important, because it can be life-changing if it's detected early. How do partnerships like the one with I Love Boobies demonstrate that healing is a collective act, not an isolated one?
Absolutely. So we do our little bit. We, from August, we start putting our boxes out where we, so people can become aware. Patients, most of our patients are women. When they come in, they see the pink box. They see that you can donate gently worn bras. And then we have these I Love Boobies socks. So for every 5 socks sold, it pays for one a free breast screening, like a mammogram.
Okay.
So it's very important, so they also need funding. And that's what helps. It's all very well to get the gently worn bras, and every person that comes for a screening can get a bra, because very often it's also very expensive to have bras. And then they also get these I Love Boobies socks, which is a reminder that every month you got to do breast screening. 10 days after period, you got to examine your breasts and see what's going on, and eventually you will understand what your breasts feel like, and then you can pick up a lump. Okay, so it's very important. And they approached us because we had another social initiative project, which was Kamani, which was for period poverty, and that ran for 2 or 3 or 4 years. And then I Love Boobies approached us, because we have got a national footprint, and we've got these 20 branches all over the country where women can come in, buy the socks, bring their bras. And it just makes, the staff are also very motivated, because it is, a women issue, and, to help women. And they, like I was in the one branch yesterday, and I said, where are all your socks? They said, no, they're sold out.
Oh, wow. That is
it's incredible what they do, the staff.
Yes.
It empowers women,
Yeah.
and it empowers you to know that you're doing something about this very important problem and very high prevalence, breast cancer.
Now, breast cancer doesn't only affect the body, it impacts mental health, family dynamics, and spirituality. How can holistic care address all of these layers?
that's where you get these counselors. So very often some of these foundations, these NGOs, like the, Pink Drive and the I Love, not so much I Love Boobies, they have these volunteers. And I Love Boobies does have volunteers. They've got 200 volunteers all over the world who you can contact and get. And these volunteers very often are breast cancer survivors. There's another one, with Dr. Ben, who works with. There's another incredible initiative, which was sponsored by a big farmer, one of the big farmers, but it only carried on. That it was like a trial that they did in. I think it was. There's a clinic outside Pretoria where they screened 1,600 patients or people, disadvantaged people, and they compared it to ultrasound, because now with AI, there's an ultrasound. So what this doctor, she's got a PhD in imaging. Right. So what she's developed over the last 20 years is an AI for breast screening. Wow. And she's got 50,000 cases of breast cancer diagnosis in her AI. And so all you got to do is train on how to, to manipulate this tiny little ultrasound machine, which is incredible. And it can pick up, and it's got a very high sensitivity to pick up breast cancer. Then you can refer. So she's also got these, she's also part of these. So she's part with Carol Ben, where she does free breast screenings. And then she's also got these clinics. Not quite sure if you've heard of them. Unjani. Have you heard of Unjani?
Unjani.
Yes.
No.
Now this is another. This is not, so it's not a non-profit organization. It's where they've empowered these registered nurses to own the clinics in these very rural areas, and I think they're sponsored as well. And then they offer, these breast. They actually can do these breast ultrasounds with this Clarius ultrasound machine, which is wireless. So you can do it wireless, and then when you get to, you can do it without, Wi-Fi. And then when you get to a place with Wi-Fi, you can download all the results, and then you can see. So it's quite incredible. So they've grown from 1 to 54 around, but they're hoping to reach like 1,000 of these around the country. But they need partnerships, They need people to help partner with them and, sponsor them to actually do all this good work.
Actually, this brings me to my next question, in terms of help, hand in help, how can ordinary listeners play a role in saving lives, whether through funding, volunteering, or emotional support?
All three. Okay, so if you want to volunteer, you can join one of these these breast screening places, like the one which was with Carol Ben, I Love Boobies.
Oh, I Love Boobies. Okay.
Yes, I Love Boobies, cancer, Pink Drive. I was driving back yesterday, and now I'm so aware of breast cancer, and I'm not sure if you've noticed these trees wrapped in ribbons.
Yes, yeah. I have.
Another breast cancer awareness drive that they're doing. That's another company that does that. So there are, many companies out there that are trying to, to create awareness and to do the screening, because that's the only way. You cannot go get a mammogram if you're disadvantaged and you can't afford a mammogram. So that's the only way. So you need to do it properly, and you need to have proper referrals and proper follow-up. And then so these volunteers, very often they are breast cancer survivors, and they really are amazing at what they do, helping, guiding patients through this emotional time.
Now, so, with you help so many people as a doctor, a healer. How do you personally care for your own mental health and spiritual well-being while holding a space for others who are in pain?
Sure. It's difficult. You have to, it is what it is, and you have to. So, you have to de-stress somehow, and what you have to do is kick in your parasympathetic nervous system. So if you can just do 15 minutes a day of, like the Tibetan monks do the humming, that's been going for thousands of years. That is kicking in your parasympathetic nervous system, which calms down your fight or flight, the sympathetic nervous system. So that's one way. You can do the deep block breathing, just 15 minutes a day. So what I tell my patients is when you're driving in the car, so people don't think you're mad, you can sit there and go, and do that for, for as long as you can. And just make, if you don't make time for health, you're making time for disease. And it's far more strenuous and thing to actually go down this path of breast cancer. So it's all about stress as well, Kitty. Stress causes so many things.
But that's the thing. People don't know that they are stressed, but the body knows. The mind knows, and it translates it to the body. So, it's such a thing that we can't detect, because I know myself. I don't know when I'm stressed, but the mind is so incredible. But it knows when you're stressed, and then it translates it to the body. It's also knowing yourself very well regarding the stress.
We get anxiety attacks, and then obviously if you've got money, you can go do blood tests and check what's going on and see what your cortisol levels are, because what happens, breast cancer and dense breasts, it's all about estrogen dominance. So lifestyle and nutrition play a huge part, because everything the water we drink, especially if you live in a municipal area, that's full of estrogen. They're called xenoestrogens.
Oh, wow.
Because all the HIV and all the oral contraceptives that we take go through our urine and land up at these water purification systems, and they cannot take the estrogen out, because even the fish are becoming, the male fish are becoming, feminized because of all the estrogen in the water.
Sure.
And so that's one thing. So you need to watch what you're eating, all the perfumes. When I drive in a car and I see those, those air fresheners, that's you breathing in those estrogens. Those, they're called POPs, these persistent organic pollutants. Even that is causing estrogen dominance.
Sure. This was so insightful for me. Like literally, my brain is like, because I like to pride myself in being a student first before anything else, and I've learned so much. And it's so funny here. There is so much awareness, but what I take my hat off to you for is creating this awareness in all these forgotten communities in these rural areas, and taking that step forward to go and seek for help, and knowing what's going on with yourself and being in tune with yourself in a healthy manner, so, and I'm so grateful that you're creating these awarenesses as well, Dr. Maureen, because we can never have enough of it, because as I said, I'm a woman who lives in the burbs, and I haven't even gone for a screening.
All of it.
Yeah. We know of it, we read about it, but then it's just taking that further step as well. And I'm sure even my peers as women, we are too scared to do that, but we need to do it. And you have just literally blown my mind today in terms of how serious this is. And I'm so grateful that you care for other people, and you're so sympathetic, and there's a spiritual awareness, and you give people a hug by just caring for them with your knowledge as well. So I'm so grateful for you for taking the time to chat to us.
Thank you. You've made my day. Thank you. And if I see one patient, I'm only reaching one patient. But when I go on our social media platforms, we can reach with our Facebook up to 700,000 people. But people have to spread the word. Not everybody's got access to Wi-Fi and all these fancy platforms. So it's about women educating other women. If you hear something, educate the other woman, share it, share it with someone you love.
Absolutely.
Spread the love, spread the awareness.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Dr. Maureen.
Lives.
Yes,
Thanks,
absolutely. We need to spread that even more. Thank you so much.